How do you think Canada is viewed by other developed nations?
Oh, it's generally favourable, yes, absolutely. We're kind of nice guys, peacemakers, all that stuff, the in-between people. Not extreme left, not extreme right. Well, until now, I used to go to Britain almost every winter for a visit. And they're held very favourably, some of which is to do with World War II, when they came to the rescue, and World War I, for that matter. So I think the goodwill for Canada is still very high. And all the Americans who are totally embarrassed by Trump were calling themselves Canadians when traveling in Europe, which I think is a feather in Canada's cap.
Europe generally sees us as, kin of theirs, and so like-minded in terms of a nice mix of freedom and socialism. And as far as I can tell, that seems to be, Northern Europe seems to see us as on board. Likewise for Australia. And most of my interactions with America are also the same, but of course it seems to me that there's larger spots there that are not really on board with that way of thinking, I guess.
Oh, well, I'm quite sure, and from what I've read, that people are wishing they had been in Canada when this situation occurred. And certainly in comparison to something like the United States, which is clearly the biggest denominator for us, our response is superb.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I totally agree. Yeah, I was quite impressed with the response, and I think Canada did quite well, all in all. Yeah, the troubles that we're seeing across the border now, it's clearly an example of how Canada did, in my opinion, a far better job.
No one outright says, oh yeah, look at Canada, they're ahead or they're behind. But the fact that no one's pointing at Canada and saying, oh my God, we need to do something different, to me says a lot, because there's so many countries out there where they're struggling with their response, they're struggling with having a plan, or they, like the US, don't have any plan at all other than trying to ignore it. And so not being noticed, to me, is a sign that we're doing something right.
I think for the most part we're viewed well. We're like a nice United States. I don't know. Like people, I feel like from what I've talked to, like traveling and stuff like that, they say that we're pretty polite, like we're respectful. Yeah.
Well, I would say that we definitely have a positive, positive image on the world stage. But to some degree, I think that might be too positive, and we just get stereotyped as being this country that's perfect and has no problems.
I don't know, I think that's changed in the past few years when we had our change in government. I think we have been showing a bit more leadership on climate, but I think we need to do a lot more on climate to really be seen positively.
Kind of had an awakening there. Canada isn't as important in the world as we thought. We thought that Africa was looking up to Canada, and that's not so much. A lot of them don't even know where Canada is. Of course, Asia, the population is so big, we're just a source of food for them in a small way. So, other than that, we need to gain a lot of ground. We lost a lot of ground probably in the last 20 years.
In general, I think Canada still has a fairly good perception abroad, and I think that foreigners often contrast Canada with the U.S., and given the political climate in the U.S. right now, I think that actually casts Canada in a more favorable light. But again, there is a lot more that Canada could always be doing to foster international relations.
I think that a lot of countries have respect for Canada and our leaders and our people. I haven't traveled outside of Canada, but if I were to and wear a Canadian pin, I'd be a respected, tourist. I wouldn't have to hide that I'm Canadian at all.
I think they look at us as pushovers lots, but that, just my own opinion. I just think that we kind of go with what everybody else is doing, and that's just how we do it.
I think we're actually fairly well thought of. Traveling around the world, when you say you're Canadian, people do see that as a positive thing. They don't see this as being, we're not imperialistic, there are definitely positive things that people think about Canada when other people and countries think of us. And some of the things that we've done around the world, I think, have had a positive impact, so that's always helped.